I'm a student of class 4BC at Genesis School. Today, I'm going to tell the story A Christmas Carol. Before telling the story, I want to ask the judge a question. Miss Agatha, can you tell me what you want to do in Christmas? Can you tell me what you want to do in Christmas?
I just celebrate with my family and friends at home. We will have a simple dinner tonight for the Christmas Eve, and then tomorrow we will have a small Christmas party, and then where we exchange gifts with my friends and my family too.
I really like your answer. In the story, Mr. Scrooge will have a very different activities in Christmas. It was a New Year's Eve, and the people were trying to get it somewhere. The grumpy old man, Mr. Scrooge, is very unhappy with this. What nonsense! All these people running around in the cold. I hate New Year's Eve. He sat down and began to check the list of people that owed him money. With his hesitation, his helper approached him. He asked, "Is it possible that it is early for me to leave early? You know, it's New Year's Eve and I must buy my son a present." "No, you may not, Mr. Present. How ridiculous, and why leave it to the last day? You should have bought it earlier." With great sadness, his helper returned to work. That moment, his door knocked. The dog began to bark. Mr. Scrooge's helper opened the door. His nephew has come to visit him. He invited him over to the New Year's dinner, but because Mr. Scrooge didn't like New Year's and he thought that celebrations were nonsense, once again, like always, he refused to go. This time, the door knocked again. "Oh, what now? Leave me alone so I can work." This time, two men entered. They asked if it was possible for him to donate some money to the orphans. Mr. Scrooge refused to give them money. Go to the door. I have no money to throw on the streets." With great sadness, the two men walked out. Later that evening, Mr. Scrooge went home and went to bed. Later then, a light caught his eye. When Mr. Scrooge opened his eyes, he saw a child ghost appear in front of him. This was one of the ghosts of the past. Mr. Scrooge was stunned. "Hi, now let's take a little trip to the past. Oh, what's happening? Help!" The ghost took Mr. Scrooge to his childhood, and there it was, Mr. Scrooge as a child in the schoolyard, decorating the Christmas tree like a Christmas tree. You can tell that Mr. Scrooge child is very, very happy. Then the ghost took him to his first boss's house when he was a young man. He was having a great time with his family and his first bosses. His wife was also there. He was having so much fun. Together they were dancing and having so much fun. Finally, the ghost took him when it was another New Year's Eve. His wife began to cry. "You used to care for me and love me, but now all you love is money. I have no role in your plot anymore. I think we should part." Not being able to stand this, Mr. Scrooge asked the ghost to take him back. And suddenly, he was home. This time round, a giant green ghost appeared in front of him. This one was the ghost of the present. Now Mr. Scrooge was even more scared. Come with me. Let's see what's happening this New Year's Eve. Having no time to refuse, Mr. Scrooge noticed that he was in his helper's home. In his helper's home was a very simple dinner table. Mr. Scrooge thought that everyone in the family had hated him, but then he saw that this wasn't the case. His helper stood up and began to talk. I want to thank Mr. Scrooge for giving me the opportunity to work and paying me on time. We were able to eat because of him. Although Mr. Scrooge was seriously nasty to his helper, he was amazed at how his helper was very thoughtful. Then Mr. Scrooge noticed his helper's sick child. He was sitting in his wheelchair, feeling thin and sick. Mr. Scrooge was very sad for the child. This child is very ill and hasn't got much time left. After hearing this, Mr. Scrooge's sadness grew bigger. The ghost took him to his nephew's home. His family was having so much fun eating. They even had an empty seat waiting for him. Wish Uncle was here with us? Mr. Scrooge did not expect this. He always thought that his whole family had hated him. Finally, the ghost told him that it was time for him to die, and revealed two kids standing under his jacket. It was a boy and a girl. But with the skinny figures and scary faces, they looked more like two skeletons than kids. They represent bad and unconcerned people. The ghost told him that it was time for him to die and pay special attention to the boy. Mr. Scrooge did not understand what the ghost was trying to say. But then he startled with the sound of the clock. It was midnight. This time, a darker and scarier ghost approached in front of him. This one was the ghost of the future. He brought Mr. Scrooge to his own graveyard. People were gathered at his grave. Mr. Scrooge was shocked when he saw his face on his gravestone. They were talking behind his back. Mr. Scrooge noticed that he has been a worse person and nobody liked him anymore. People who owed him money was very happy with his death. Mr. Scrooge didn't like this, and he see his helper son's grave. And like his helper son's grave was full of flowers. He could not stand to see it anymore. He asked the ghost to take him back. Please take me back. I will not be the promise you again. I will not be the grumpy man anymore. I promise you. The ghost took him back, and suddenly he was home. And luckily, the time wasn't 12 yet. His dog began to bark. Mr. Scrooge noticed that it was still that same day. With happiness, he jumped out onto the street. First, he visited the butcher and bought a big turkey. He asked if he could take it to his helper's home. Then he bought a toy and asked if they could take it to his helper's son. Then he ran to his nephew's home. That night, he had a great dinner with his family. Later on, he took care of his helper's son. He took the treatment that he needed and treated him as if he was his own son. He helped the poor. He got along with people better and treated them with warmth. He was never rude, grumpy, or selfish. And nothing was ever going to be the same. Through the story, I have learned that besides the job, we should take time with our family and friends. We should not too pay attention to the money, because when we die, we will not take anything with us. The things that are back will always be there. Do you have any questions for me? Thank you for listening.